Let's jump into the wide receivers here. We start with Darnell Mooney, who's still available in 55% of leagues because he started the season out injured. But Darnell Mooney is back, and as we see there, Jay, the target share, phenomenal, 11 targets in a game that the Falcons' passing offense was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, so the Falcons, who are a bit of a disaster at the moment, but from a fantasy perspective, they're a very easy team to understand in terms of their usage. Like from the receiving perspective, it's Drake London, it's Darnell Mooney, and it's Kyle Pitts. And then Ray McLeod gets cycled in for his Ray McLeod stuff. And then the running back, it's Bijan Robinson, and then Algier will come in every second series and take about half the work on that series. But with Darnell Mooney, I think it just comes down, Connor, to like, do you think that Michael Penix is going to turn the corner?
I do. I believe in the talent. Yeah. I think the scheme has not been great this year. I don't know what they're trying to do, quite frankly, for a quarterback that throws the deep ball really well. The offensive line has had some problems as well, and Penix didn't play well. There's no way around it. He didn't play well last weekend.
It was a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, like against Carolina.
Right.
That's the problem.
Who they just oddly don't play well against.
And what the craziest, like, it's one thing to not play well. I mean, like, he had no touchdown. Like, got shut out.
Right.
He lit them up last year when they played.
Yeah.
So why is this happening now?
They got shut out, and they're not going to do this. But the fact is in the post-game press conference, and so far this week, Raheem Morris has been asked, legitimately, are you considering a switch back to Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
And regardless of what the answer is, to which so far Raheem Morris has been like, no, Penix is our guy. But the fact that that's a legit question, the fact that that's not some kid trolling, but that's like, you understand why they're asking that question. When you get shut out at Carolina, it's, you know, I mean, it
brings up all questions. They fired their receiver coach this week.
I'm sure we're going to get into this in the next segment, but like I will tell you, I got cut in a guillotine league this week because I had, I loved my team, but Michael Penix was my quarterback. I'm like, Jaden Daniels is out. Somebody beat me to Mariota. So it's like, all right, Michael Penix, against Carolina. Should be able to get
me 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, should be fine. My 2 wide receivers, Malik Neighbors and Zay Flowers. Mm-hmm. My starting running back, Chase Brown.
Yeah.
Like, I got less than 20 points from 4 players, and that was all she wrote. Johnny Dangerly, definitely one of the regulars, asks Darnell Mooney or Cedric Tillman going forward. That's a great question. I think I'd rather Cedric Tillman, club said. I feel better about his role. I feel better about his talent. And weirdly, I feel better about his quarterback at the moment.
In the short term, that's exactly right. I think what you're worried about, and you can't think in long term in fantasy. Like, you probably have to win weeks right now. The problem is I have confidence that Penix and Mooney are going to turn it around at least the second half of October, where in the second half of October is Dylan Gabriel playing. Right. And it's like what happened. The club said, well, they have a rookie third-round quarterback, and they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but don't you think 1,000% Flacco would be able to, if Flacco loses the job, it's going to be a downgrade. Although I will, like, they're 1-2. They're 1-2, and with a decent field goal kicker, they're 2-1.
Right. I mean, they might have the best defense in football.
Yes.
Like, I just watched that tape yesterday. I'm like, this is potentially the best defense in football.
And I would argue, again, like I said, like they lost week 1 to Cincinnati because of their field goal kicker. There hasn't been a lot that Joe Flacco has done where you're being like, well.
Oh, he's pretty bad in week 2.
The running interception was a comedy.
He was bad. I mean, he was outside of that. He's okay.
Yeah. I still think
again, we're not in practice. We're not seeing what Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders are doing right now. And so my point is like, I'm not sitting here trying to, all jokes aside I'm not trying to tell you that I think he's great. But I think you'd be hard-pressed. Again, we're not seeing what's going on in practice. But given on what they've done on the field so far, I have to believe that Kevin Stefanski believes their best chance to win is still with Joe Flacco under center, given everything we know so far.
Yeah.
It'd be weird.
Why make that move now? You just beat Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Most people think is a top 3 team in the sport.
1,000, and that's what I'm saying. Is okay, fine. He was bad in week 2, but my point is he played well enough in week 1 that they should have won that game, and he played well enough in week 3 that they did win. Against what many people consider to be the best defense in football. Now, they're on the road to Detroit next week. So, a Detroit defense that just made Lamar Jackson look human, except for junk time, not that I'm bitter.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. But anyway, Johnny Dangerly, I would say Cedric Tillman. I get the thing, but like.
Right now I am absolutely. If it's a start-sit question, it's club said.
It's club said, but he's asking basically who would you rather have on your roster right now, and I still think club said because I just think that they're not going to. That if Dylan Gabriel becomes the starter, it's going to be because they think he's an upgrade over Joe Flacco in terms of getting being able to run this offense and pass, because Stefanski wants to throw the ball.
Yep.
Like they want to run Judkins and set up play action, and so whatever. I got a soft spot for Club Said, and also, by the way, Mooney. Look, 27% target share in week 3, 91% route participation since returning, but like he still hasn't. It hasn't translated into fantasy production. He's playing Washington this week, which helps. Commanders allow the 5th most yards per game on deep passes, so hopefully they go to the tape and they fix it, because obviously what went on against Carolina is brutal.
Our next receiver here, guys, Elic Ayomanor, 79% available. I've been begging people to pick him up
since the spring, no question.
Yes.
I got to give you credit. Yeah, you have been on this bandwagon from moment one.
He has taken over the wide receiver 1 role in Cam Ward's Tennessee offense right here, and I understand Calvin Ridley's still getting targets here, Jay, but the argument's going to be, well, Elic Ayomanor's productive right now because he's catching touchdowns. But as a prospect, what Elic Ayomanor does at his size is catch touchdowns, so that's the point.
Yeah, this is a pretty simple one. I've watched almost every snap of this game because I'm a big Colts fan now. Saints are dead to me. Giants have been dead to me for a year. I'm a Colts fan now. I need Jonathan Taylor to do very well this year. But watching this game,
the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints are done. No, they're done. That's a wrap. But being a Colts fan and seeing my division rival, the Tennessee Titans, 2 things. One, Cam Ward's good. Cam Ward's good right now. The way he uses arm slots and everything is extremely unique. He had the terrible pick 6 to Kenny Moore, but outside of that, he's able to move the ball against the Colts. And then the other thing, the simple thing, is that Elic Ayomanor looks good. Calvin Ridley looks terrible. Ward has a rapport with Ayomanor. Ward is going to get better as the season goes along. There's too much talent there. He's going to get more comfortable in the offense. And look, the matchup this week's not great against Houston, but with Derek Stingley banged up, that defense doesn't scare you as much as it perhaps did at a different point in time. So yeah, I think Elic Ayomanor, the reality is he's the number 1 wide receiver for a quarterback with talent and upside who's growing each week. So I think he should be rostered everywhere.
Well, forget the touchdowns. More receptions than Calvin Ridley each of the last 2 weeks. You mentioned Houston and their banged up secondary, then at Arizona, then at Las Vegas, home to New England. So it's actually a pretty nice schedule here over the next 4 games. And, we always talk about Dwayne McFarland and his utilization score over at fantasylife.com, which is a number from the scale of 1 to 100 on how much they get used, in terms of route participation and target share and everything like that. And through 3 games, Calvin Ridley's utilization score is 57. Elic Ayomanor's is 60. They're using him more.
Yeah.
4th round, they are using him more than Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, it's been something to watch. I didn't think it would be this early, but here we are. Elic Ayomanor is here to stay for that Tennessee pass game right now. Once again, 79% available.
Yeah.
He's most likely out there in your league. I would spend a good amount of fab on him. Tre Tucker.
Greg Lau says, mind your Ayomanors.
That's
Lord of the Ayomanor.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad.
That's a fantasy football team name. There you go.
We'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
Tre Tucker, a name you probably didn't
fair.
expect to hear, but week 3, Tre Tucker.
Producer Adam thought it was funny, Greg. You had one.
Run. Yeah.
There you go. Adam liked it.
Tre Tucker, 96% available, 9 targets. We talked about this Raiders throw script, which was wild in week 3. 9 targets.
What are we doing, Commanders? What are we doing? Anyway, he was just burning by people. We talked about this.
He's winning by 1 million points.
Yeah, he only got 17 points or whatever.
Yeah, I know. But still, it's just the same guy gets deep for 3 of them. At some point,
3 touchdowns is absurd for Tre Tucker. But here we are.
But on the season, he's got a 93% route participation. He's got an almost 20% target share. So he's out there. He is. We always joke about those guys that run wind sprints. He is literally running wind sprints.
The cardio king until week 3.
1,000%. But he has seen an end zone target in every game so far this year. 33% target share last week, and that should earn him more time moving forward. They haven't been able to get the run game going. And so the way the Raiders have moved the ball so far this year is on the arm of Geno Smith, and obviously Bowers, who seems less than 100%. He's gimping around on that leg. And you've got Jacoby Myers, but Tucker is their deep threat. And so it is going to be a little bit boom or bust. But playing the Bears this week at home,
vulnerable secondary.
You can throw deep, especially assuming Jalen Johnson's not playing. I can't imagine he's back this week.
That might be the most ridiculous graphic we've aired the entire
Tucker
year.
Just lapping the
But
field
it's Tre
of NFL
Tucker
wide
by
receivers.
16 points and then wide receiver 2, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, had 1,000,000,000% more fantasy points than Jamar Chase. Yeah, it's a little.
Oh, believe me.
A little absurd.
Let me ask you this: do you think Tre Tucker scores 40 points in the next 3 weeks?
Does he score 40 points his rest of his
combined.
career? No, he does. But no, I take.
I don't think so either.
No, I take the under easily.
Might take the under, but do I think like he's a guy that has that can make your week in one play?
Yeah.
And do I think over the next 3 weeks, do I think that there's at least one game where Tre Tucker catches a 60-yard touchdown, right, and winds up with like 16 fantasy points for the game, and it's like a
Amazing best ball player.
1,000%.
Wish I knew that in the spring.
He's like bad team Gabe Davis, is how I think of him.
We got another comment here, guys. This one from Derek Ryan. Tucker or Troy?
I assume he means Troy Franklin.
Yes.
Tre Tucker or Troy Franklin. It's
confusing.
I think that is a good question. I think I'd probably still rather Troy Franklin.
Me too. Just because he had a slower week, he's still out there.
Yeah.
Like,
He still got all the snaps. He just didn't get the production, but the underlying stuff was still there. So Troy Franklin.
I think there's a scenario where Troy Franklin, over the second half of the year, that Troy Franklin is the number 2 person on that offense behind Cortland Sutton. I think there's a scenario where Tucker's 4th, behind Myers, Bowers, Genty, and then Tucker is 4th. So I understand the question. It's close, but and against Chicago this week, I might start Tucker. Well, though Denver's home to Cincinnati, actually. But anyway, so probably starting Franklin. But yeah, I like the question.
Now we enter desperation play territory. Christian Kirk is 66% available. There's really hasn't been a lot to love about the Texans offense outside of Nico Collins, but
Christian Kirk is always 66% available.
And he did have 8 targets, but he doesn't even walk away with 6 fantasy points. I mean, I guess the question really for me is to you, Matthew, do you think things are going to get better for this passing attack that can't protect C.J. Stroud? And when they do, if it's not to Nico Collins, it just never really looks pretty.
Feels like it almost has to. I mean, look, this is more of a desperation. I could see him being, when we get to fantasy football pregame this Sunday in Dallas, Texas, by the way, Jay Croucher.
Yes, sir.
Myself, you, George Savaricas, and Lawrence Jackson will be in Dallas, Texas, at Texas Stadium as we prepare for Football Night in America. Of course, the game next week, Packers, Micah Parsons return to Dallas, but fantasy football pregame will also be on set next week. And when we do our desperation plays, I could see Christian Kirk being one of those.
You need 7 points?
Yeah, well, listen, Titans bottom 10 in terms of most yards allowed to the slot so far this season. Again, he did get a decent amount of targets. Something has to give with this passing offense.
Does it, though?
Yeah.
It was bad last year.
I don't think they'll be able to run against the Titans. So I do think Kirk, it'll be his second week back. They've got to change something up, right? Because it's clearly not working so far. I will say, so after Tennessee, they're at Baltimore, and then they have a bye. I have to believe that the bye week is where they really try to, get everything fixed. Because it does. It looks like a disaster so far.
It does. I think there's still some shine on the C.J. Stroud name because he was so amazing in his rookie season and then balled out in the playoffs as well that year. But I think we have a year and 3 games of evidence that Stroud, like most quarterbacks in the NFL, probably can't overcome a poor context around him. Like the bosses in the NFL, like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, just put them out there and they will figure it out. Like if you put C.J. Stroud on Indianapolis, I'm sure he'd be fantastic.
Oh, I agree.
He'd be amazing. But he's got a bad offensive line. He has 1 receiver and he has no running backs to move the needle. And I don't think this is going to get. I think it's going to get a little bit better because Nico Collins is so good and Stroud is better than this, I think. But I don't think this is going to turn the corner that much.
It's a new offensive coordinator for sure, but there's nothing that makes you feel like it's going to suddenly be 2 years ago. No. It's going to be C.J. Stroud's rookie year. Just there's nothing there that, just in every week where they struggle, I feel like C.J. Stroud just gets more in his head. Yep. He just gets more and more of the yips. And, spiraling. Like, it just,
All right, before we move to Sterling Shepard, who's next on our list, got a little update here from Jenna Lane, who covers the Bucs for ESPN. Source tells me Mike Evans has a moderate hamstring strain, 3 to 4 weeks.
That doesn't sound moderate, I have to be honest with you. 3 to 4 weeks is what he had last year.
Yeah.
So this is a bummer. Mike Evans is on my team in our show league. We're going to get to that. But
at least you haven't had any injuries.
Yeah, exactly. But this is just tough, obviously. Look, I think, and that brings us, by the way, to Sterling Shepard. Obviously, we know Emeka Egbuka. There's a chance that Chris Godwin comes back this week. There were rumors about that, so we will see.
He's coming back. Otherwise, they would have put him on IR. He's going to come back.
So insane.
Him and Wirfs are going to play this week. It's the strangest reporting ever. He's targeting week 6. Then why isn't he on IR? He's coming back
save
this
the
week.
roster spot.
They're both going to play this week.
Yeah, super weird if they don't. But but will he be on a limited snap count? I don't know.
Sure.
But the point is that even if Godwin is back, and of course we know Emeka Egbuka, but Sterling Shepard is now the number 3 wide receiver, and potentially in some sets he's the number 2 if Godwin doesn't play a full complement of snaps. He's third among the Buccaneers wide receivers in target share and route participation. 80% of the routes he's out there running. We like this offense. Now they're home to Philadelphia this week, but Shepard is going to be more of the slot guy. I don't love him as much outside.
Right.
I'm just saying if you're in a deeper league, you could and probably have done worse than Sterling Shepard. He doesn't have a ton of upside. He's more of a floor play than an upside play, but the injury to Mike Evans does open up an opportunity for Sterling Shepard, who is already playing more than I think people realize.
All right, so to recap, Matthew, your top wide receiver waiver targets, we broke down Darnell Mooney, who's available in about half of leagues. Elic Ayomanor, who's still almost at 80%. Check your league. If he's out there, there's a lot of players you'd probably drop for him. Tre Tucker, monster week, but there is a role in this offense. Christian Kirk, Sterling Shepard, some deeper ads, of course, Luther Burden, Tyquan Thornton got a lot of deep looks in Kansas City's offense.
He's got 53% of the team's air yards this season, the Chiefs do. Jalen Tolbert is likely to be Dallas's number 2 wide receiver while our friend CeeDee Lamb is out. He had 5 different games with at least 12 fantasy points in 2024. Parker Washington, very quietly, I don't know that he's great, but he did have a 29% target share last week. He actually leads the team in targets per route this season, with Brian Thomas Jr. struggling, with Travis Hunter's role sort of all over the place. It does seem like there's a little bit of a rhythm there between Trevor Lawrence
for him.
and Parker Washington. Torrey Horton has now scored in back-to-back games. Obviously, he also had the return for a touchdown, a lot of speed. It's been up and down for Cooper Kupp. We know JSN is the lead of this offense, but their passing offense seems a little bit better as well. I think it depends, Jay, on what you're trying to accomplish this week in terms of, hey, do I just need a spot start? Do I, like Christian Kirk, we think has a decent matchup. Sterling Shepard potentially, But then, if you're like, no, I'm just trying to look for somebody to stash that could pop in the second half, right? And so, Luther Burden is somebody whose routes have increased targets and routes have increased every week. Played 31% of the snaps. I feel like it's only a matter of time, or he's clearly the number 3 and potentially the number 2 in Chicago. Horton is another guy that I think. Tolbert would be more of a this week guy. Tyquan Thornton more of a this week guy. So it sort of depends on what you're looking for when you go to waivers, whether it's somebody you need just this week or just some bench depth that might possibly pop in a little bit.
Yeah, I think Horton's an interesting one because the Seahawks haven't played a normal game this season. They've all been weird. They never had the ball against the Niners in week 1. Week 2 was a game decided by Caleb Johnson not understanding the kickoff rules. And it was just bizarre interceptions, that one. And they beat the Saints 100-0 last week. So it just wasn't a real game. So I think there are going to be more games where the Seahawks do have to actually drop back and pass a bit more. And it can't just be JSN for everything. It just can't be. You have to throw it to other people.
It might be.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Teams are going to take them away.
Mooney and Ayomanor, by the way, are both starts for this week and potentially people that we think will do even better as the season goes on and they get more familiar with their offense. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.